Well, this is Baruch Fleischman at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and we're learning the foundations of, I guess, Judaism, what it means to be a Jew. We're learning this from this rabbi, physicist, Aryeh Kaplan. He has his points. He began with the Rambam and his 13 principles. And in those principles are certain statements that could be very controversial, because they're not Christian statements. Our view of the world is not Christian. And in the world where we're in right now, we're able to speak. Nobody's shushed us in terms of who we are. That's what we think, at any rate. We think we can talk like Jews in a Gentile land and it will be acceptable before God, and the people here will be okay with it. So here we come over here to the foundations of Judaism, because today a lot of people really don't have a clue what's the difference between Judaism and Christianity. So here we're coming in. So he says belief in God is the very foundation of Judaism. However, faith is not just the utterance of words. It is firm belief and conviction with mind and heart. Let me get this lined up. To be acted upon through a course prescribed by God. Faith which does not predicate obedience to God is an absurdity. Speaking about God is very much like speaking about love. One can spend a lifetime speaking and reading about love. One never has the slightest idea what it is really all about. When one actually experiences, however, lengthy discussions are no longer needed. The same is true of God. One cannot understand him unless one experiences him. Now, the only way to experience God is through the observance and study of our religious teachings. One who does not do this ultimately denies God because it's a gift. On the other hand, if one studies God's teachings and keeps his commandments, he will ultimately find God. Our sages thus teach us that God says if they would only abandon me but keep my Torah, its light would bring them back. If one ignores God's commandments, he will ultimately also forget God. The Torah therefore warns us, beware that you do not forget the Lord your God, and by not keeping his commandments, his ordinances, and his statutes. Some authorities count this warning among the commandments of the Torah even. It is not enough merely to believe. One must actually live in God's presence. We have to live the commandments, live the life that he prescribes for us. This is what the psalmist meant when he exclaimed, I have set God before me at all times. And this idea, a basic idea, really, of what it's like to be a Torah Yid, to really be close to God, and to live in his try, so we're only human. To do our best to get close to him, to do his mitzvahs, and to live that life. So he says, I can gaze at a beautiful sunset and try to describe it. But unless you open your eyes and see it for yourself, my words are in vain. You must see it to understand and appreciate it. I can describe the most delicious fruit, but you must taste it to understand what I'm saying. The same is true of God. The psalmist thus says, taste and see that God is good. Happy is the man who embraces him. Baruch Fleischman reading Aryeh Kaplan. Where are you, little one?